Hi there, Fadi. We're here today talking about your portfolio 2. And the first recommendation that I have for you is to double check your formatting. You'll note that there's an awful lot of extra space in here at the beginning and right before the conclusion. You don't need those extra spaces. You'll also note that the space at the beginning of the paragraph is incorrect. It needs to be an indent using the tab button, which is going to make it a nice little chunk there at the beginning. So each new paragraph needs to have indentation using that tab button. Other than that, your formatting looks pretty good. My next recommendation to you is to do some general proofreading. What I mean by this is I want you to start at your very first sentence, read it out loud to yourself, make sure that it make sure that it sounds correct, make sure that any capitalization, any subject verb agreement, any punctuation, it's all correct. So for example, if I read this out loud to myself, everyone can imagine himself bronzing under sunlights in Maldive Island. So I can pick up on the fact that it should be sunlight and the Maldive Islands with a capital I. So just some really simple fixing that you can do just by doing general proofreading on your own. So I want you to do some general proofreading from the top to the bottom and then from the bottom to the top. I also, before your thesis statement, need some sort of statement where you are explaining to the reader, hey, I'm not just talking about vacationing, I'm also talking about vacationing camping and vacationing in a hotel. Because you suddenly go from visiting another country to, oh, by the way, I'm talking about camping in hotels. So you need to make sure that there's a sentence before this thesis statement that somehow tells your reader my two topics are camping and staying in a hotel. So something to let the reader know so that the reader doesn't get confused. It's like, whoa, where did that come from? And that gets me to point number 4, which is transition words and phrases. But before we get to point number 4, I need to talk to you about Grammarly.com. I'm sure that I've mentioned it to you before, but Grammarly.com is an online grammar checker and proofreader, and it is available on our class website by clicking on the last link on that homepage for Grammarly. It will take you to the Grammarly website, and you'll sign in using your Gmail login and password. You'll click on where it says New, and then you will copy paste your entire essay into that new doc on Grammarly. And what Grammarly does is it runs its program and lets you know whether or not there are any problems that it picks up on. Now you'll notice that it doesn't say that you have any critical issues, but it does say that you have 13 advanced issues. You're one of the only people that I have ever run into that didn't have any critical issues. So that's fantastic. But unfortunately, the advanced issues are only available by purchasing an upgraded an upgrade subscription. Note that I don't get any money from Grammarly for recommending it to my students, but I do highly, highly recommend it to all of my students, especially if you're planning on pursuing your undergrad degree, because you will be doing quite a bit of writing as you get up into your other classes. So check Grammarly.com or some other proofreading or grammar checking program on the internet to make sure that those 13 advanced issues get taken care of. My fourth recommendation to you is, my fourth recommendation to you is regarding transition words and phrases. And these are those words and phrases to make sure that your reader is not getting confused. I do know that you're talking about the differences between camping and staying in a hotel. but not all of the transition words and phrases that you use to let your reader know, hey, I'm talking about differences, are the correct ones. So here I wouldn't say even though visitors who went to tavern or resort have their own bedrooms to rest in it. I would say on the other hand, or I would say in contrast, visitors who went to tavern. So those are my recommendations for you there. If you have questions, please let me know. And I also want you to make sure that the word choices that you are choosing make sense. If you can't tell me what exactly it is, then it's probably a word that you shouldn't be using. So remember the 1, 2, 3. If it's a 1 or a 2, definitely don't use it in your writing because chances are you're not going to be using it correctly. Oh, one last thing to note. After each punctuation mark, there should be a space. Note you have a nice, lovely space after your comma here, but you don't have spaces after most of your full stops. There needs to be a space, so please go through and fix those. There are a lot of instances where you did not put spaces after your punctuation, so please make sure that you double check those. Like I said, if you have any questions, let me know, and good luck editing.